Good evening, Atlanta, and welcome back to the intersection. You are back with Noel White and Mr. Atlanta Soccer himself, Jason Longshore. It is Thursday, and it is 10 o'clock, and we are back. And Jason has been a traveling man. Surprised I've been able to catch up with Jason.
I don't know what day it is either. I mean, it's just all over the place right now. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what day it is. Been to Austin, Texas, and back. We were in Chicago over the weekend, and then back for another home game. And in between last night's game in Austin and Saturday night with the first team back at the Benz, we got the Georgia High School State Championships going on as well. I'm calling games at Duluth High School, so yeah, I'm everywhere, and it's a lot at the moment.
Yeah. You and Day Day are all over the soccer playoffs right now in the metro Atlanta area. So I already know you're moving and shaking. How jarring was it to go from Chicago on the weekend and then to be in Austin this week? Like what's the culture shock there?
I'll tell you how jarring it was. The game in Chicago, so Soldier Field's right off the lake, and I'm not. The only time I know of like lake effects on weather really is with snow. Like we hear about lake effect snow and things like that. But the high in Chicago on Saturday, I think all the weather accounts said it was 70 degrees. It was not 70 degrees at Soldier Field. It was like 55 and windy.
Yeah.
So to go from that, where it's weird, it's wind, it's cold, it's colder than you would feel like it might be this time of year. Well, then you go to Austin, Texas, and a heat wave comes through, and it was 100 degrees when we went to the stadium, and still windy. And there is nothing worse than hot wind.
Yeah, man.
Hot wind is
Hot
horrendous.
stale wind.
I
Ooh.
mean, I felt like it was weird calling the game, especially in the second half. I felt like I was almost like at altitude in that it felt like it was starting to affect my throat
Yeah.
because it's just you're breathing in hot wind
Yeah, it's like
and
really dense and moist and yeah.
yeah, it's just it wasn't humid, but it was like it was
Right.
the humidity wasn't high, but it felt like it was sticky and thick, and it messed with my head. It messed with my sinuses too. So yeah, I'm struggling at the moment, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it. Sudafed is your best friend.
Indeed, indeed, man. Yeah, Austin in the almost summer and the heat wave and the ooh, I didn't even think about that part. Yeah, it's giving. I mean, southern heat. I mean, because you're
Yeah,
here, but you kind of
this was
sound
different.
like yeah, you kind of sound like the new NFL rookies coming in because I've heard a lot of them ask questions. The ones
Mhm.
going to Arizona and Dallas and Houston and Atlanta and Carolina. There's been a lot of how humid is it really? How hot is it really? And
And
all of
they're
the
all
fans are
different.
like, they're all different, but all of the fans have one thing in common. Oh, you'll find out. You'll find out very soon how hot, humid, or rainy it is where you're headed. You will
Yeah.
find out and you will adjust.
It's so weird because you can have the same temperature in Phoenix, in Dallas, and in Atlanta, and in Tampa. It can be the same temperature in all 4 and feel completely different in all 4.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And speaking of the NFL, yesterday was the my favorite might be my favorite day on the NFL calendar.
This has
It's not
become a thing.
combine, it's not the draft, it may not even be the kickoff. It is the NFL schedule. And that is because there are no wins, there are no losses. Every team is full of optimism and hope. And we get to take little pop shots at our ops in fun and creative ways. And yesterday definitely delivered some more than others,
Mhm.
some were tens, some were twos. Like some teams took that moment to have a victory lap of their franchise's good fortune. I think the Eagles video was not even 90 seconds long. It just had the theme song from Space Odyssey 2001 and a Lombardi trophy.
I
That was
mean,
pretty much it. You didn't even get a schedule to like the last 12 seconds. It was like, oh yeah, here's who we're playing.
that's a flex.
So yeah, it was a victory lap. I was like, okay, it was short, it was sweet, it was to the point, and I feel salty. So mission accomplished.
Yeah.
So, some were short and sweet and to the point. Some were 10 minutes long, like the Buccaneers victory lap that they took with John Gruden. So John Gruden did an unboxing of like Buccaneers past good fortune.
Okay.
So
How
everything
was
in
that
the
10 minutes
box,
then?
because it gave old man yelling and reminiscing at the same time.
Okay, fair enough.
It was like, "I remember when I was with the Bucks and we beat these people and we went there and the tuck rule and yeah, it was that for like 10 minutes. But
Oh,
everything in the box was like a memory that related to something positive to the Buccaneers, but also whoever they were playing. So, like for us, for instance, somebody dug up the very first NFC South playbook ever. It was the game between the Falcons and the Bucks, and somebody found John Gruden's playbook for the 2002 matchup, and that what was in the box. And apparently they won the game, so he
no.
gets the bragging rights. Exactly. It's just,
Uh,
him going down memory lane for 10 minutes in this box of memorabilia. So, but like I said, for Bucks fans, it was probably an amazing flex and a walk down memory lane. But for the rest of us, it didn't really leave a lot of entertainment there to be desired. Like, with these things, you want the entertainment factor to be kind of
yeah.
high there.
Who was the best in your opinion? Outside of the Falcons. We'll come back to the Falcons one in a minute.
Oh, I really enjoyed the Raiders, I'm gonna say, because they went with the "This is Sports Center" motif.
Nice.
So it was like a series of Sports Centers commercials for like 4 or 5 minutes in like different areas of the Raiders arena. At one point, you had Marcus Allen like reliving the play of the Super Bowl 83 when they were
Yep.
in LA.
Yep.
They took a moment to take a shot at the Chargers for not winning a Super Bowl in LA. So it's a lot of great moments, but they did it in that old school Rich Eisen and this
Okay.
is NFL style. So I thought that one was really, really great. And shout out to the Jags, because I don't know if you remember this, but you remember the guy that was doing the his morning routine, and it was like
No.
minute by minute. So a couple weeks ago, there was this guy that popped up on social media. It was all over the place, and
Okay.
it was like his morning routine. So he was like washing his face in a bowl full of Saratoga water, and it just gets more ridiculous from
Yeah.
there.
Okay. I know.
And
I know what you're
so
talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
right, and so the Jag took him and had him go through his morning routine, with like Jaguars gear or whatever, and then goes through the day, and he's talking to Roger Goodell on the phone, and we're having press conferences, and we're doing all these NFL things, and then at the end they
That's kinda
revealed the
cool.
schedule. So I thought that one was short, it was sweet, it was to the point, but it was also
Yeah.
kind of creative. So I did like those two. Those might have been my favorites.
That's kinda cool. The Falcons, I love the Mario Kart
Oh,
setup.
that was so
That's
great.
that's good. Definitely tapped into the right thing there. Some of the little references in it are great. Love taking shots at Belichick. Definitely
Oh,
win
that's my
for
new
that.
Twitter header. Go to at Ella_cool 23 on Twitter. Check the profile. That is my new header. Acuna is now officially gone. And it is Mario Kart, Bill, and Jordan. That is the new header. Because that was just A+ trolling right there. Absolutely loved it. And
Yeah.
the end, when you're in a race with the Buccaneers and then Bijan stops to let the Buccaneer car run off, just like the game play when he scored the touchdown.
Mhm.
Excellent, excellent Easter eggs there. So they definitely did their thing. A couple of teams did Minecraft. Those were also fun.
Yeah.
The Colts deleted theirs for some reason.
Yeah, there was, I think, a shot that they probably shouldn't have had in there, and they got some
well,
heat for it.
well, Tyreek Hill approved it. That shot is officially Tyreek Hill approved now, so they can put it back up if they want to. I guess
They
I don't
should
know,
then.
but that one was fun. Even the Saints had a fun. I got to give them their props. Even the Saints had a
That's
fun one.
amazing.
They kind of played with the Key and Peele angry translator Obama skit a bit. Kellen, well, that was about as much as Kellen Moore could handle without breaking character. But Coach Coos was great. He definitely knew what to do. He had the right anger and intensity when he was asked questions about the Falcons. I agree with him. A lot of those questions they asked him were dumb, and they probably shouldn't be called on anymore for any more questions, especially Baldy with that super old 2019 NFC playoff question he asked with them about the Rams. So I did think, and the fact that they actually got their media people involved and they got to have a little fun and cheek with it, I did think that was fun. So it's probably to be the only hand clap New Orleans gets from me this season.
Mm.
But shout out to New Orleans.
Well, let's get into the actual schedule a little bit. Falcons are going to Germany, which
Yes.
is pretty cool. Like for me, it's different coming from a soccer perspective, and we hear about these international games, and you get international teams coming to the U.S. So NFL teams go into play regular season, like real games, not preseason games, but real games in other countries. It's really cool to me. Like I love to see kind of the sharing of cultures like that. Is that something being in Germany with the Falcons, is that something that excites you?
Yeah, and I'm really surprised. I'm kind of floored that the that the league really had their finger on the pulse on this one, because if you were going to send any team, in my opinion, to the first ever game in Germany, it's the Falcons, because for whatever reason we have a fan base there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like if you watched all of the draft, and a lot of us nerds did, there was a point where two fans from Germany
Mhm.
came out to announce the draft. Those
Yep.
fans also came to Atlanta last season
I remember
to
that.
check out, yeah, the Falcons and United.
Yep.
So us going to them after they came to us last season, to me, is just excellent synergy. And
Yeah.
shout out to the NFL for being aware that we do have an overseas fan base.
Yep. Yeah,
I don't.
Germany, it's an interesting one just because you have the US Army bases that are there. So you've had like an American football culture kind of underneath. It's small. It's not, I think people will try lazily to say, "Oh, it's like soccer here." No, 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 no. It's not like that. It's much smaller than that. But Germany was always the one. You think back to the old like world leagues and those sorts of things, and you had teams in Germany generally did pretty well. So it's another market. We've seen London and England, and now we've got Dublin in the mix. So you've got even more
Mhm.
of that island. But it's cool to see games ending up in Spain, ending up in Germany. We've seen Brazil
Yeah.
now a little bit more. I think it's a really good thing for the league, and as the NFL is the behemoth in terms of this country, there's still a lot of room to grow for the NFL internationally. Like it's absolutely relevant around the world, but when you go to some of these other places, it can become even more relevant, not just as a special event, but like our fans in Germany. They live and die with it. They watch all the games. They're like us. So when you can get these teams in these markets on a regular basis, then you create fans, not just people who are going to buy a ticket for the big event like a concert. You get people who are going to like watch all the games on the international television and all that.
Yeah, you build the investment, and not even just the NFL, like even in college last season, we
Hmm.
saw, was it, what was it, Tech and Notre Dame go to Ireland also
Yeah.
to play. So
Yeah.
they're also helping to grow the game in that regard, because it will help the college players in the long run also. If you want to enter the league and play these games and potentially play these international games and grow that market and to have an international fan base, because to your point, you want it to feel like soccer does, like how people here have international teams that they root
Yeah.
for and they have jerseys for and all that, whether they go or not, that's their team. Like Real Madrid is their team, or Paris, or whatever it is, that's their squad. And I feel like in the NFL has what's the word I'm looking for? Right now is the moment, it's a key moment for them to start to build those type of fan base overseas. And like
Yeah.
we see that the Jaguars have it. They've taken advantage of that for the past 10 years. We've managed to grow some type of little fan base overseas. I believe the Colts have a little something going on overseas in little pockets and spots as well. So if you can take time to grow those spots, and all you got to do is send a few teams a year into certain areas, you can kind of see where it's worth it for the NFL.
Yeah, it's cool. It's actually really timely that we're having this conversation because there is a European League of Football, and it runs across all of Europe. It's 16 teams. We're not getting into our friends down in Brazil yet. I don't know what the American football scene is like in Brazil, but
Hmm.
you have a number of teams in Germany. That's probably the hub of this league. So it's great for the Falcons to have Germany as their base. But you got teams like the Nordic Storm in Denmark. You got the Paris Musketeers.
Oh, nice.
The Musketeer. I mean, come on.
I kinda like these
The
names.
Madrid Bravos. So
Okay.
like Prague Lions. So they're in the Czech Republic. They're in Hungary. They're in Austria. The Vienna Vikings.
Oh,
They're in
yeah.
Poland. So it's the I think fourth or fifth year of the league. But it's growing to the point that yeah, you got teams traveling all over Europe playing these games that building that local side of it. And that's always the next step. And it's always the thing that we talk about here in this country in all sports. If you get kids playing the sport, they're probably going to end up being fans of that sport. So for the NFL, it's twofold. You got to bring the circus to town and you got to get everybody excited. I really think it's cool that the Vikings are playing back-to-back games in Europe as well. I think that's good for them to
Yeah.
go from Dublin to London. It's going to help them potentially if they have two bad games, and it's really going to break that team. But if they have two good teams being at two good games being out on the road together, that will be a big help. But the NFL has to adopt like a two-pronged strategy here. Go in, bring the circus to town, make it a big deal, make it a big event, do all the pregame and postgame stuff, and make it a big spectacle, but then get out in the communities too and get kids playing, do the clinics, do the camps, do those sorts
Yeah.
of things to get those kids to understand the game and be not just a fan of the circus, but hey, I want to be in the circus one day.
But, you know, they've kinda done a good job with that because you're seeing more Hispanic kids play, you're
Hmm.
seeing more, like, Pacific Islander kids play, you're seeing more, kids from the African continent come and
Yeah,
play. So they're doing a and they're doing a pretty decent job of making that visible also, like them
yeah,
going out there and stuff, and the flag football initiative with the girls. So to your
absolutely love it.
point, like they have their finger on the pulse of
Yeah,
how to do the spectacle side of it, and also grow the game long term range. Also, before we go to break, I did want to mention that the Falcons have five, yes, count them, five primetime games, which I think are well deserved because even
yes,
though we did fall off that cliff, the Falcons showed up in prime time last season.
hmm,
They
yeah,
if they did not win, those games went down to the wire. I mean, even that wasn't a primetime game, but I consider all 17, 18 week games primetime now because they schedule them that way for a reason. That's why they're all to be determined because they want those premium win or go home divisional matchups, right?
yeah,
And when we had that with the Panthers, even though it was the Panthers, that was an overtime game, high scoring, 38, 40 something points. Like that's what you want to see out of teams that you give those premium time slots. And
yeah.
I think the Falcons definitely shown that they can come. The Falcons and Raheem Morris definitely showed that they can come and bring the noise and make good on a prime time slot. So five is well earned. Keep going so that you can get more of them, get more wins, and do all of those good things.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you get Michael Penix, you get Bijan Robinson, you get Drake London, you get that offense in prime time. That's what people want to see. So I'm loving it. I'm really looking forward to the season, and the schedule release is a very cool thing to kind of get the ball rolling with that excitement.
Yeah, it's kinda like the beginning of the show with all the pomp and circumstances, and speaking
Yeah,
of the show speaking of the show, we will be back with more details on what went down in Austin and what will potentially go down in Washington tomorrow night with the Dream and the Mystics. This is The Intersection with Noel White and Jason Longshore, and we shall be back. Welcome back into the intersection with Noel White and Jason Longshore on 929 The Game. And we are standing at the corner of MLS and the WNBA. And since Jason has been the traveling man, I'm going to let him tell me how we got a draw in Austin. So, Jason, what went down?
it wasn't the prettiest of games, but it got the job done. So, right now when you're in Atlanta United in their shoes and you're trying to build momentum, you got to take what you can out of every opportunity.
Yep.
And the fact that they played well early and then kind of lost control of the game, which has been a recurring issue this season. A good start, forced a couple of big saves. Miguel Almiron had a 1v1 with the keeper. Brad Stuver made a nice save in that. Alexi Moranchuk forced a good save. But about 25, 30, 35 minutes in, wherever you want to draw that line, Austin started to take control. They had control in the first part of the second half. Our old friend Brandon Vasquez, former Atlanta United player, he had a great free kick beats Brad
Mhm.
Kazan. He got a hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. That made it 1-0. And Atlanta United made some subs that started to bring some life into it. A player that I've talked a ton about over the years, Jay Fortune, who has had to play 5, 6 different positions, it feels like. I came in as a left wing back, and then when Atlanta shifted to a line of 4 defensively, turned to a left back, not a position he's typically played, more of a central midfielder, but he has played on the left wing lately. He helped kind of change the energy a little bit, carrying the ball forward, getting into the attacking third, looking dangerous, but also cutting inside and creating some space. That started to almost like chip away at
Mhm.
Austin a bit. You started to see them have to struggle a little more, drop over to their right side to defend that was working with Fortune and Edwin Mosquera, who came off the bench. That created a little more space on the opposite side when Saba Lobjanidze moved over to that side. And ultimately, you find a way to get the equalizer after, again, kind of chipping away at Austin and making them more vulnerable. Long ball to Jamal TRA, who brings it down and dropped it off to Miguel Almiron. And Miggy was struggling, I thought, up until this point. He'd been looking tired, which again, we
Mm.
talked about the heat. It was a real
Yeah.
factor coming off a short rest. But he had a great ball after the pass from TRA over the top, just a little delicate kind of pop over the back line to Saba. Saba gets in behind, and then he kept his head in the moment. He didn't have a good angle, could have potentially gone to goal, but he had a better option in squaring it to TRA on the back post. He stayed on side, like barely, barely, barely. It was right there. But they got the stoppage time equalizer. They get the 1-1. You showed some fight in coming back. You showed some fight in dealing with falling behind again. And even better in this one because in Chicago, you came back too. But in
Yeah.
Chicago, once you came back, then you lost that control again and gave up a winner to the Fire. You didn't in this one. And it was a shorter period of time, but still, it's something that you can hold on to and get a little bit of extra momentum coming out of.
Yeah, because I'm wondering with the change with the substitution that was made
Yeah.
and the change in play, like I'm wondering what can be found from that tape that they can take forward. Cause you're
Yeah.
gonna see like
Good
that
question.
momentum change on the tape.
Yeah, subs. I mean, subs will bring energy just because they're fresh, which is part of it. But I think a player like Edwin Mosquera is a really important one. And you got to make a decision on can you start him and get the same element. And that's been the issue for Edwin. Some guys, and we see this in all sports. Some guys are better coming off the bench.
I was
They're
and then
not
that's
as
what I was wondering.
yeah. They're more effective in like in soccer in like a 30-minute spell than a 90-minute spell or even a 60-minute spell. And Edwin has proven to be that. But when you look at the numbers, and I mentioned it on the broadcast last night, it jumps out to me that when you look at it's a very like nerdy stat, but I'll explain it. It's progressive passes received. So
Okay.
progressive passes, longer passes, getting the team forward. Basic way to think about it. Per 90 minutes played, Edwin is by far Atlanta United's leader in that stat. Which what that tells you is when he comes into games, and maybe some of it is the nature of when he comes in. If they're losing, of course they're going to try to get forward faster. But he is the one who they look for to switch the field and get forward quickly with a longer pass. And he's able to find that space. He's also one of the better dribblers in the team. So you're looking at him, you see him, he's got space. Play long to him, let him go 1v1. Let him try to beat a defender. That's something that can you harness that for a longer period of time? Can you harness that for 45 minutes, 60 minutes? Can he give you more consistent impact over a longer period of time? That's one element of it. I think Jay Fortune and Matt Edwards in this match specifically proved that two of the homegrowns, and those two guys are very close. They both came down from North Carolina together to join the Atlanta United Academy. Those two guys are getting very, very close to the point that they have to play more often.
Mhm.
Um, they give you something different. I thought Matt was a warrior in this game. He's a guy who came in last year, signed a twos deal, earned a first team deal by midseason. This year, he's played in 11 games. He started 7. He's played center back, right back, left back, wing back. He's played all over the back line. And last night, in one of those moments where everybody was gassed and everybody was tired and the team earned a corner, it was Matt Edwards who has, at the first team level, I think 15 games under his belt in his career.
Mm,
It's Matt Edwards who is screaming at everybody and yelling and pumping his fist and trying to get everybody going. That's such a unique element of MLS, and I think maybe we see it with guys who get drafted and stay at a team for a long period of time. I think you see it with players with the dream, for example, who have come up with the dream. Like
mhm.
they got drafted and they've been there for years. They feel it different, right?
Right.
They feel the logo, they feel the badge. The homegrowns, I mean, you're talking about guys like Jay and Matt who came here at 13, 14, 15 years old, and they went to games at the Bends. And when they talk about like, man, this sucks. We don't like to be losing. We don't like this feeling about a club that we love so much. It's different. And I think when homegrowns are able to give you not just that passion and that feeling, but the quality play to go with it, they're
Mhm.
so important to the culture of a team. And I think it's a really special element that you've got some homegrowns. Noah Cobb started last night as well, that are just intrinsically valuable to this team right now. And I think they're going to have to help carry some of that a little bit.
Yeah, and it's kinda like baseball in a way, like, when you bring up your
Yeah.
minor guys or whatever, like, they've been in the organization, not necessarily with the big club, but they've been with the organization for so long that there's a different kind of affinity that you feel towards it, versus people coming from overseas or coming from another team or whatever. Like this is the team, this is the logo, this is the home. So to
Yeah.
your point, yeah, you have a different kind of pride for it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a really important thing in building a team. I think teams that have that, and it's universal, like you say, like it's a minor leaguer coming up, it's a player who's been drafted, it's a hometown guy. Like there's lots of different elements to it, but you need those players contributing to the culture of a team to be successful, in my opinion. Either people who've been there for a long time or people who just have a different feeling for that badge. And if you don't have that, I think you run the risk at times of the culture not being as strong as it can be.
Okay, so what's our positive takeaway from last night that we can take into our next match?
Fight back. I think you're starting to see that the 3-4-2-1 shape can work. I think it gives you a little more security defensively. You look at the last two games that they've played in it. Yeah, they've conceded 3 goals, but um, one of them is from run of play. So, it's a free kick, it's a penalty, like it's 1 goal from the run of play. So I think they've been better defensively without sacrificing getting forward. The next step out of this shape, though, and Ronnie Dyla talked about it after the game, you've got to be more confident and braver to keep the ball. They've got to have more possession. I don't think they're built to have 40 to 45% of the ball. It needs to be more like 55%, 60%, because that can help you defensively too. It
Yeah,
allows you to rest. You can keep the ball and basically play keep away a little bit and rest with the ball where you're not in danger of conceding. When you're just constantly giving the ball away and playing long, you're constantly defending, which is
yeah.
stressful mentally, but also stressful physically. So that's the next step. But I think you can take some things out of this, and you're going to have to go back home on Saturday and play Philadelphia, who had to come back from 2-0 down to win 3-2 last night. They had to expend a ton of energy. Can you capitalize on that? Both teams are going to be tired. It's going to be down to, I think, some of those subs potentially getting opportunities to start and balling out.
What time is that one, Jason, on Saturday?
7:30. We're back to normal times. We're not doing Five Stripes After Dark again in Austin, starting at nine
Yeah,
o'clock Eastern.
man. All right.
7:40 kick. Pregame coverage will start at 6:30 with Madison Cruz and Abe Gordon from the Bends, and then Mike and I take over for kick at 7:40.
There we go. So that is our United rundown for the week, since they just had a game last night. And the Dream has their season opener tomorrow in Washington against the Washington Mystics. Now, that's one of the teams that they played in the preseason. To me, that's the preseason you saw the most of the new addition starters or the new addition veterans. You had a lot of Shatori coming off the bench, the six man, looked great. Bree Jones looked great in that first game. Brittany looked great in that first game, especially with that screen that she put on
Mhm.
Sonya Citron. Got her welcome to the league moment
Yep.
from the vet BG right there. Second game, we saw more of the rookies, and that's what I more of the rookies and like the fringe players on the roster. We got our official
Okay.
roster yesterday. So in that second game, due to Jordan Canada's injury, you didn't have your starting point guard, so you saw a lot of Tahina Pow, who, in my opinion, put on a show. She made it very clear that she was going to make this roster. She did make this roster. So Tahina Pow will be number two jersey on the roster, backup point guard, more likely.
What's it looking like for Canada with the injury?
The last update I got was they would evaluate in 2 weeks. That was a week ago. So she's
Okay.
gonna miss the opener. So they'll probably evaluate before the home opener against Indiana Fever on the 22nd.
Cool. Okay.
So Tahina Pow may be your starting point guard coming in because Haley Jones, who we are used to being that backup fill-in point guard, is no longer on this roster. Unfortunately, I saw that one coming, and it has nothing to do with skill or ability to play, in my opinion. It's just fit.
Yeah.
The league is small right now. The rosters are small, and fit is going to be the number one thing to make or break a roster. And she just didn't really, her skill set just didn't really fit in this new remake of the Dream under Carl Semesco. Like you can't, you're not really going to run point. You're a little small to be a forward, not really defensively sturdy enough to back up Ryan Howard. So I didn't really see a place where she could fit. And
Yeah.
in that second preseason game, she didn't come into like after halftime, which was not a good sign in my opinion.
Right.
So unfortunately, we won't see Haley Jones anymore in a Dream jersey. But I do bid farewell to my Stanford girl. We appreciate all the work that you put in, especially last season when we really, really needed you to play point guard for like a whole chunk of the season. A player that I was super excited about. You could hear the excitement in my voice, Jason, when I was talking about Cheyenne Sellers. Oh
Mhm.
my God, 6'2, 6'3 combo guard, can play three positions and da 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 da. It did not look good on
Mm.
Saturday. Like my jaw was on the floor at how bad it looked. She didn't get in until like halfway through the third quarter. And her first possession, she like tried to dribble the ball around her back, missed her left hand completely, turned the ball
Mm.
over. Okay,
Mm.
cool. Maybe, just a little jitters, whatever. Come back up to top of the key. The Dream have the ball. She gets the ball at the top of the 3-point line, and the crowd is like screaming at her to shoot, shoot, shoot. And she like goes up for the shot and then comes back down and like looks for somebody to pass and comes back. And it looks really awkward. And then she finally gets somebody to the corner. And at that point, they just have to heave the ball up to not get a shot clock violation. So I don't know if it's the knee injury as much as it looked like it was confidence. Like it
Yeah.
almost looked like the Monstars showed up before the game and took
Sometimes
away.
injuries can affect confidence though too.
Yeah, like it's like it took away everything she was doing just a couple of weeks ago and in Maryland. So that's what was so shocking to me. Like it's not like it was a great time period between what she was doing in Maryland and
Yeah.
coming to camp. So that's why I was so shocked at what it looked like on the floor. But man, once you saw what it actually looked like on the floor, you weren't surprised that the Valkyrie cut her, and you kind of knew that the Dream was going to cut her. So when they did cut her, it wasn't that surprising.
Right.
The Dream are down to their final 11. And we are Maya Codwell, who came in halfway through the season last year, made this team outright to start this season. So you will see a lot of Maya Codwell as well. We got our 11. Every other team I have 12. Whatever, it's fine. We'll be fine. We have our 11, and we will see them starting tomorrow night against the Washington Mystics. I believe it's 7:30 on Peachtree TV. So get ready.
Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the day too that the WNBA expands the rosters a little bit. I think it feels like a big step to get one. It's weird, and MLS has weird roster rules. Every league has weird roster rules. 11 versus 12 is weird to me that other teams have 12, 11. I understand it in the sense of why. I don't like it.
Yeah,
It needs to, I feel like you need what, 13, 14 probably to
probably.
to really have the amount of games you're having in a short period of time, to be able to rotate, to be able to develop some talent too. Because you look at somebody like Cheyenne Sellers, you know, very talented player and not ready yet
Uh,
for the first team, not ready for the league. Okay, that's fine. You don't want to lose talented players because they're not ready to contribute today. There needs to be somewhere for her to develop, whether that's on the back end of a roster or if there's a G League kind of scenario coming, or just having a deeper roster so you can work with her off the court, outside of games to get ready to contribute when that time comes.
100%, and we know some of that's gonna come with the money and the CBA and all of that stuff. Like we definitely understand the money implications of it. But yeah, you have, and it's not just the Cheyenne Sellers of the world. But you're right, there are a
Yeah.
lot of players like the Valkyries just cut a former Dream player, Letitia Mirhi, who was balling in their last preseason game, but they didn't have any room for her. And there are a lot of players, really good players, that are just out here floating, waiting for injuries or whatever else happens, just because there's really no spot for them. And for Cheyenne Sellers, like that would have been my dream scenario, dream, for her to sit at the end of the bench or maybe create some type of practice squad scenario to where these players can develop and maybe do something for you, later on down the line. But unfortunately, these players are going to have to try to, hone their skills and get back into the league a different kind of way.
Yeah, get creative, find a second division kind of setup, find a G League kind of setup. But I think more than anything, the next step for the WNBA is to add a couple more roster spots at a minimum.
Couple more roster spots and a couple more teams. So we got one new one in the
Yep.
Golden State Valkyries. We got the Toronto Tempo coming up soon, and I'm hoping we can bring back the Houston Comets. I mean, they did win the
Yeah.
first 4 championships, but let's bring
You
back
know.
the Houston Comets. Let's bring back the Sting in Charlotte, and
Yep.
let's get some things going.
Let's go. It's growing. It's in a really good spot, but you have to always look at how it can be even better. And I think more teams, more roster spots, more development of talent is going to be the three things for the league to continue to grow.
Yeah, we're getting there, and it starts with visibility, and that starts with you guys watching the Dream on Peachtree TV at 7:30 tomorrow against the Washington Mystics. All right, when we get back, we are going to throw some darts at somebody. We're going to head to the bar. We're going to have our last shot or two, and we're going to throw some darts at the dartboard. This is the intersection with Noel White and Jason Longshore. You can find us on the Odyssey app and 929 The Game. All right, Noelle is back, and so is Jason with the intersection on 929 The Game or the Odyssey app.
Sup?
Yay. We are at the bar. We are getting our last shot in, and we are throwing some darts at the dartboard. Now, this is only episode 3, so we'll break down the game again. So here's how the game goes. We print out a picture in our drunk state of last call. There we
We
go. There's
we
our
we bring
super,
out the
super.
dot matrix printer. Like we figured this out the second time we went to the bar with this. You remember the old metal cart that the substitute teacher would roll in, one of those old gigantic TVs, and the thing's wobbling, and the substitute's like trying to make sure it doesn't fall over. We found a dot matrix printer and somehow are hooking the thing up to our phones. And we're printing out these pictures as we're running our mouths, talking at the bar of who we're going to put up on the dartboard. We got to print their
Yes.
picture dot matrix style, though.
Yes, we
That's all
gotta
we can
print the
afford.
picture. And luckily, it holds up at the end of the night. Well, we only gotta use it once a week,
Supposedly.
so maybe that's why. We print out our pictures and we put them up on the dartboard and we throw darts at people that do stuff that we don't like. And we tell
Yeah,
you why.
sometimes, or sometimes it's people we want to have a little bit of a conversation about.
True. Sometimes it's not completely, malicious or mean. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah,
hey, come here, let me talk to you for a second. Let's have a conversation.
yeah,
But this one is mean and malicious.
yeah. That's
I'm gonna
usually
go
yours.
first.
Yeah.
Yes. And I am printing out a picture of the NBA logo. Yeah, there
Here
we
we
go.
go.
There we go. And why the NBA logo, you ask? Because how in the world do the Dallas Mavericks magically get handled the number 1 pick in a draft lottery after trading away the most coveted Luka Doncic? How does that happen?
I know the conspiracy theorists are running wild. I get it. I understand.
I
I
won't
know
use the R word. I won't use the R word, but I'll say it's magically, mightily convenient.
it is. It is. I think you do have to keep in mind how we got here with the whole idea in every other league when you have a draft scenario and it is reverse order of the standings from the previous year.
Hmm.
The NBA was the one, wait, back in the 80s? Is that when the lottery started? Maybe the 90s? I think
I'm gonna say
80s.
90s.
Okay, somewhere in that ballpark because they didn't want teams to tank. Now we've seen teams still tank. Like it's part of your strategy in building a roster. It happens. But you're trying to prevent that. And the way you try to prevent it is this team with what 1.5% chance of getting the number one pick.
1.5.
They got it. So you're trying to make teams say, all right, look, if you're not going to make the playoffs, you still have to actually try to put a quality product out on the court. Because if you do, you have this chance. If you just utterly tank, you're not guaranteed the first pick. I think the idea is good. I don't have a problem with the idea. This one does look a little interesting. There was always the rumors about Patrick Ewing to the Knicks. That did start in the 80s because we're going back to Patrick
Okay,
Ewing
yep,
and the,
okay,
the
yep,
the warm envelopes or
yep,
whatever was talked about with that.
yep, you're right. Hmm.
Like you're getting way back, and there's always been those things. But really, there's only been a couple of times that we've had the possibilities of being talking about things being magical or R words or any other different spelling words. Um, eh, I actually like the idea of the lottery as opposed to you stunk, you absolutely stunk, and you probably intentionally stunk, and you get down to the end of the season and it's all right, how can we stink more? I don't think that's a good product. I don't think that's good for the league. So I like the idea of it, and I'll unfortunately accept this, and I'm going to take the NBA logo down from you.
Ah, I guess. I
I
mean,
don't like it, but I understand it.
it's a hard complaint. I get it for me this year after last year being the last 1.8 chance, whatever, to get the number one pick. It's just a little different because there's no, Cooper Flag or Zion Williamson like what the Pelicans got when they traded
Mhm,
away Anthony Davis and on and on.
mhm.
It just never seems to work that way for Atlanta. So I just want everybody in Atlanta to know that if you trade Trey Young, you are not getting the number
Don't.
one pick with this
No,
super name brand guy coming in. It's not happening. It does not happen
don't
for
do it.
us that way. Don't do it. I like the idea of hiring his manager and making him the general manager and building the team around that. Why not?
Yes, yes,
He'll make a trades team. Why not?
I keep arguing with people because I don't know why so many people in this city always are down about Trey Young, and I've consistently argued about Trey Young and backing that guy, and you have a generational talent wearing your jersey. The records that he sets, they're not happening by accident, and they're not all just him scoring and shooting threes either. Look at all the assists. That means he's setting other people up. That means he's making the team better. You're not going to be better if you move him. You're probably going to be bad for a minimum of 2, 3, 4 years if you move him, period. I will take having him, building the team around him, make the team better, of course. But I'll take having him. And if that means maybe I can't build the number one team in the East in the regular season, I can build the number two or the number three team and make a run because he's the kind of guy that in the postseason can put a team on his back, go get the Superman cape out, rinse it off, and be ready to roll because he can carry you. And we've seen it.
Yeah, you just got to get him there.
Yeah,
Like
you
I know
got to
they
get
love
him
to
there.
say, small guards can't whatever, but
Mm,
and y'all can, all the circumstances and the caveats y'all want to put in there. We saw him do it until he twisted his ankle. We saw him,
yep,
and he had a cast around him, and he was whatever, but he was the maestro.
yep.
He was orchestra. As Lou Will said, he was in his bag, and even Lou
Mhm.
Will said it. Like, hey, he was in his bag. We was going as far as he was taking us.
Yep.
So and you saw that. So if you can figure out the bench and all that stuff and whoop de whoop. But okay, you've overruled me. I can't be mad at the NBA, even though I will be.
All
Okay,
right.
what you got, Jason?
I'm going to stay in the NBA though, and
Okay.
I'm going to kind of stay on the small guard side of things a little bit, and I'm going to
Oh.
print out a logo of the Golden State Warriors.
Oh. Miles will like this conversation.
So, They got knocked out like we talked about last week. You lose Curry to the hamstring, you lose 4 straight to Minnesota, you're done. Season's done. They have tried to extend the window
They
as
have.
long as they can because Steph isn't getting younger.
I've watched this for 10 years. They really have tried to extend this window as far as they could.
Father Time is undefeated. We know. But you've extended it, I think, as far as you can go. The rickety like stick is holding the window up at this point.
Yep.
That rickety stick might be Jimmy Butler, but that anyway.
It is
You're
Jimmy Butler.
he is holding the window up, and it's crumbling, it's cracking. Are they still a contender in the NBA at this point?
See, the only problem with their question is it's not a yes or no question because the
I
answer
know.
to their question is Steph healthy?
Yeah,
And I mean and that's what we saw this postseason. Like I still think the Timberwolves could have gotten the Golden State Warriors, but their game probably goes 7.
yeah,
But no Steph over
no,
here and Anthony Edwards over here is a bad combination. Not
you're
saying
done.
that Anthony did it all on his own, but Anthony, in my opinion, has this Peyton Manning ability. When he's on and he goes full throttle. And when he's not on, he knows how to defer to a Julius Randle,
Yeah,
to a DiVincenzo, to a whoever else. He knows how to defer and how to give them, their accolades and things. And then when he is on, he knows how to take control. So that combination being on that side and then not having that person over here as Steph on the Golden State Warriors side. I mean, Jimmy put y'all back in contention. You couldn't lose another key piece.
no, no,
You
and
just couldn't lose another key piece.
I think you're not a contender anymore because I don't think Steph can stay healthy enough for you to be that, and there's nobody else who can do it.
That's fair.
And look, I mean, it happens, and full credit to them for trying to keep it open. Like they're trying, and I get it, and they should, because you've got again generational talent. It's just that generation's ending,
Yeah.
and you've got to try one more time. If you get magical Steph from the Olympics one more time, can you just carry him to the postseason, keep the rubber bands from breaking, and get him one more run, maybe? And that's to me, that's better than blowing it up.
I
That's
agree.
better than just saying, "All right, we're done," because you're probably gonna be done in a year or 2 anyway. So give it one more shot. Give it maybe 2 more shots. Maybe you can keep him around for 2 more seasons,
I
but you're gonna
kind of
have to
don't
really
disagree with you.
protect him.
I kind of don't disagree with you. Yeah, go ahead and build a team to where you can kind of do more load management things with
Yep.
Steph and keep his body kind of good, and you can kind of go full throttle towards the end of the season, heading into the playoffs. So, but I agree. Give it 1 or 2 more shots because once it's done, it's done. And
Yeah.
it's a long road to try to rebuild. I mean, look at the Bills. I mean, look at the Chicago Bulls, and that's pretty much who
Mhm.
you are. This generation's Bulls,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
yeah, and they still ain't rebuilt it.
Nope.
So once it's gone, there's no guarantee it's gonna come back. So
No.
squeeze all the juice out of this as you can. I don't blame you. Squeeze all the juice out of it that you can.
Put some duct tape on that stick that's holding the window open. Like, whatever you got. Whatever it takes.
Duct tape, super glue, get another stick, whatever you can do.
You might have to go get another stick.
But this to your point, yeah, this is the window, this is the time. And once Steph is gone, whether to another team or retires or whatever the situation is, that window is closed and you have to reopen it. And that's a different conversation. Keeping a
Yeah.
window open versus reopening it's two
Yeah.
different things.
2 different things. Once it's shut, it's really hard to reopen. Just like the bar because they're
Yep.
ready to kick us out.
Because it just shut. Yep, indeed. Right on time. We was having the right conversation about closing doors and windows and shows because this one is now officially over. Jason had such a great time. Glad I could catch up with you while you're on the run and you about to go back on the run. And
Yep.
so am I. So for Miles and Jason and myself, this was the intersection. We are going to leave the corner of sports and everything else for this week. And join us next week where we might have our first special guest.
Dun,
Good
dun,
night,
dun.
everybody.